Hi everyone, welcome to Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast, where I share lesson ideas, songs, games, and inspiring things for your elementary music classroom. My name is David Rao, and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. This episode of the podcast is a replay containing the audio version of a Musical Mondays live video. If you're not familiar with Musical Mondays, every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I go live on Facebook and Instagram to share about the lessons that I'm using in class with my students. I give a recap of my kindergarten through 5th grade lessons, and then do a deep dive about one grade level and share the books, instruments, songs, and process that I use to teach the lesson to kids. This podcast episode contains all the audio from the Musical Mondays video, but if you'd like to see a replay of the video itself, you can find a link to the archived video on YouTube when you click the link in the notes for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's the show. Hey everyone, my name is David Rao, and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, TikTok, when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter, music education. I'm excited to be back for another year of Musical Mondays live videos on Monday nights. As always, when I come back to do these videos after a long break, I'm like, did I remember to plug in the microphone? Did I remember to whatever? So if you can't hear me, or if there's a tech issue, please leave a comment because I may not know. So thank you all for helping me out with that and giving me some grace. This is my first one back after the summer break, and so it's exciting to be back and share. So just a couple quick things. So if you hear about a book or a link or an idea or a lesson plan, something you're really excited about, I try and put all the links for all the things I talk about in these videos on one page on my blog. You can click the video tab on the top bar if you want to find all those links, but also wherever you're watching, listening to this, at the bottom of the caption should be a direct link to the links page. If you hear me talk about the links page, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, that's the main stuff. Tonight, what I'm going to talk about is a couple children's books, one that you should use in your classroom, one that you should lose from your classroom, and then I'm also going to talk a little bit about where to get books and not break the bank, how to do that, and some ideas on where to find books, like new books that you could use in your classroom. Where can you find really cool books to use? So I'm going to talk about that sort of at the end. A couple quick things. I just added a brand new game to my TPT store. It's like a mega instrument interactive game. It's called like Alien Attack. It is basically 50% off through the rest of the night. I'll put that link in my Facebook page if you're interested. But it's there if you're interested in that. It's a fun game for instrument memory and instrument identification. I tried to make this one trickier and more fun for kids. So go check that out if you want. There's also a completely free demo file if you're interested in that. I'll try and put that in the links page. TPT is doing a sale, a big site-wide sale in the next couple days. I'm doing a gift card giveaway. If you go to my Facebook page right now, you can sign up to try and get a free $10 gift card. What do you have to do? You just tell me your favorite food and why you love it. And it's like, that's I like learning about people's food. So let's put that in there. And then the last thing, upcoming workshops. If you're interested, I'm going to be in Anchorage, Alaska, September 14th through the 16th with the Alaska Orff chapter. So that's not one if like, hey, I think I'll just drive up to that. You sort of have to be close to Anchorage if you're going to want to come to that. But I am doing some things in the continental U.S. closer. So I'll be in Northwest Ohio Orff chapter. That's on October 14th. And then the Michigan Fall Conference for Michigan Music Educators. That's October 21st. There's some other things that are coming up, but those are the big ones. So if you're around, I'd love to connect and share ideas, get to know one another. So those are coming up. Okay. Use it and lose it. So I'm going to start with a book that you should use that maybe you haven't tried before. I'm going to share about the book and then talk about the resources and sort of how it fits into my lesson plans. I am teaching this right now, so it's one that feels very fresh. And then I'll talk about one you should take out of your classroom if you still have it there. And at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about where to get discount books, why you might want to buy them discount books, where to get ideas for books that you might want to use. That's all coming up. Okay, so the book I want to share about tonight is this book called The Grumpy Fairies. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you can see it is correct. Sorry, Instagram, I still have not figured out a way to flip the image so that words aren't backwards. I don't know. If you know the way, please send me a DM so that I can know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. If you're listening to this as a podcast, imagine that the pictures here, or if you want to come back and watch the video later, you always can. Anyway, this is called The Grumpy Fairies. It's written by Beth Ann Stevens, and that first name is Bethan, last name Stevens, Stevens. There is a link for this on the links page if you want to just go see an exact copy. And I don't know why, but right now I found it a brand new copy. This brand new copy that I got was $1.70 on Amazon. I don't know why. It is so cheap, but it is, and it is a brand new copy, never been used. Okay, so The Grumpy Fairies. I'll just read a little bit into this. Deep in the depths of the forest, beneath rustling leaves and the winding roots of trees, live the fairies. By the way, I use this with third grade. I'll tell you, I'll preface it in a minute. I expect you think that fairies are good, kind, and sweet. Well, most of them are. These helpful fairies look after the forest, keeping it wild and green and happy, and they love the work they do. But I'm sorry to have to tell you that some fairies, especially the littlest ones, are grumpy. I mean super grumpy. I mean foot stompy, frowny, bottom lip sticky outy kind of grumpy. I mean it's just one of those days grumpy. And I love these images of little fairies that are like stomping around and grumpy and crying and whining. I love these photos of the frustrated grumpy fairies. I think they're hilarious. Again, this is third grade. I will tell you how I preface this with them in just a minute. And when the fairies are grumpy, they aren't very helpful at all. They don't want to take the snails for a walk. Boring, say the fairies. They don't want to water the wildflowers. This is what rain's for. And they definitely don't want to sweep away the hedgehog poop. Gross, say the fairies. At this, my students are like, what? They realize this is maybe a little snarky, but like, okay, fun. And then all the fairies say, why do we have to? I hate jobs. Why can't the grown-ups do it? We have to do everything for them. In fact, these jobs make them even more grumpy. So grumpy that they stomp off into the forest. Good morning, say the birds. What a lovely day it is. Would you like to help us find twigs for our nests? No, say the fairies. Nests are stupid. Can't see any twigs anyway, say that other fairy. The birds shake their heads. Well, you'd better watch out. There's a goblin about. He's got big, stinky feet, and the lunch he loves best is... But the grumpy fairies aren't listening. Hello there, say the bees. How nice to have visitors. Would you like to help us collect nectar from the flowers? No, say the fairies. Nectar is too sticky. The bees shake their heads. Well, you better watch out. There's a goblin about. He's got big, hairy hands, and the lunch he loves best is... But the grumpy fairies still aren't listening. Good day, says Mouse. Isn't the sun shining beautifully? Would you like to help me gather acorns for my burrow? No, say the fairies. It's too hot. I hate acorns. Mouse shakes his head. Well, you better watch out. There's a goblin about. He's got big white teeth, and the lunch he loves best is... But the grumpy fairies have already gone. The problem with being grumpy is that it's a full-time job. So if you're being grumpy, you might not notice big, stinky feet, big, hairy hands, or big, white teeth until it's too late. It's a goblin! And everybody knows that the lunch he loves best is grumpy fairies. They have a particular taste, sweet and sour at the same time. Good morning, says the goblin. Would you be so kind as to help me with my midday meal? And this one, I turn to the kids. I'm like, what do you think he means by help him with his midday meal? Do you think he means help him find it, cook it, buy it? And they're like, no, he wants to eat them. I'm like, Would you be so kind as to help me with my midday meal? The grumpy fairies start to shake. But luckily, fairies are clever as well as grumpy. They take a deep breath and then they say, we would love to. I am a wonderful cook. Happy to help. Lunch is yummy. Your skin looks great. That's my favorite one of all. The goblin is not very pleased. But you're not grumpy fairies at all, he says. I hate sweet, sickly, syrupy, helpful fairies. I don't want to eat you. Off the grumpy goblin stomps back into the forest. Whoo, say the fairies. They are so relieved the goblin has gone that on the way home they don't mind helping Mouse gather acorns, or the bees collect nectar, or the birds to find twigs. It turns out it really isn't too bad being a helpful fairy. I wonder if tomorrow the fairies might just get their jobs done without the grumps. But who knows how they'll feel in the morning. Okay, so this is, I think, a hilarious book. And when I first saw it, I was like, inspiration! I want to use this. I don't know how, but I went and I got a copy. I read through. I enjoyed it. So I was like, I got to get this. So I got, like I said, right now, I don't know why, but on Amazon, it's only $1.70. I don't know. But there's a link to that on my links page in case you're interested and you want to get it super cheap. So anyway, I think it's a super silly book, super fun. So when kids come in, this is actually in my second lesson of the year with third grade, and we have an opening activity, and then we sit down and say, I have a book to share with you. And most of my students are used to me reading books in the classroom because they've had me for a couple years now, and they know that I use a lot of books. But if not, or even if they are used to that, I like to say okay, well, I'm going to read this book, and I know, sometimes people, they look at this book, it's a book about, before I even read it, a book about fairies, and it's a picture book. Oh, and I know that you are big third graders now, and that third graders read chapters and stuff, and but this is a kid book. Guess what? Your kids. So this is a book for you, and even these picture books, there are sometimes really amazing things you can learn in them. So just humor me. And let's read it. And then when we read it, they're like, okay, that's funny. I like it. And then they like the book. And then they don't fuss so much about, you're using a picture book or a kid book. Sometimes you get that from older kids. But when I read a book like this, that's sort of snarky, they're like, okay, I don't care. And so I'm saying that so you can preface, okay. And then when I read the book, we talk maybe a little bit about it. And I say, some other teachers are probably like, Mr. Rao, how are you using this book about, kids, fairies, kids being grumpy and not nice? Why would you use this book? Why wouldn't you use a book about nice kids? I mean, nice fairies. Why would you tell one about grumpy kids? I mean, grumpy fairies. Why would you do that? But then we learned, you can't really be grumpy. Sometimes it's okay to be a little grumpy, but you really want to be nice in the end, right? Because you don't want a goblin to eat you. So anyway, but the kids think it's funny. They sort of get the okay, this is a culture lesson, but why do I use it? I mean, it sets the tone for the year. It shows them that I'm going to use these books, that we can be a little bit silly. It shows them that we are working on our character, and we are working on how we deal with one another. That's important. And so it's just sort of a fun way to get them back in the groove of things, but also sort of setting the tone for the year and what is our classroom going to be like. It's okay to be a little silly. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to feel like a kid. All those things wrapped into one. And then we go on to a related activity. And I say, okay, so, so we talk a little bit about you don't want to be grumpy all the time, blah, blah, blah. But actually, I have a dance where I need you to be grumpy. So, I know we read this book and how you don't want to be grumpy all the time, but for the next few minutes, I'm going to need you to be grumpy. I hope you can handle that. And I hope that won't be too much of a problem. I promise there will be no goblins to eat you in the next 20 minutes. So anyway, so we read that book, and then what that leads to is the really cool dance from this book called Sashay the Donut. If you don't have the New England Dancing Masters books, they are so great. They're so usable. You can pull stuff out of them. It's very easy to teach from because the instructions are very clear. There are sometimes pictures. It's just a great resources to have. This one is a nice one to start with. It's called Sashay the Donut. There are other books. There's one called Chimes of Dunkirk. There's one called Rise, Sally, Rise. There's one called I'm Growing Up. There's one called Listen to the Mockingbird. All really good. But in this book, there's a dance called the Grumpy March. Why do I like using it for third grade? Well, first of all, it's funny because they get to pretend they're grumpy or whatever as they're doing it. It's a long way set dance, which is 2 long lines where you are looking at your partner across an alleyway. The cool thing about this dance is there are some things that they will remember that feel similar to what they've done in 2nd grade. So we've done long way set dances in 2nd grade. The thing that makes this dance tricky is you're looking at your partner. There's cross. There's clap right, clap left, clap with your partner. It's sort of like a patty cake. It's the grumpiest patty cake you'll ever do, So we bring that we're grumpy along with it. But there's a motion that is very tricky. And it's basically, instead of having 2 long lines, your 2 long lines morph for a moment into one huge circle. So one line will go one way and one will go the other way, and then they have to cross over. So basically it's turning these 2 separate lines into one huge circle where they have to walk either clockwise or counterclockwise through the set. And that in itself is tricky at first. And then at the end of the dance, there's a part where the top couple has to go all the way to the other end. And then you restart. Well, okay, that's fine, except that then when they're in that super long set, it's sort of tricky for them to make that connection. Let me just make a picture real quick, because I feel like I'm not really explaining it. So let's say, okay, if you know the dance, you're like, yeah, that I get it. Okay, but just in case you don't know this dance and you're going to go get this Dancing Masters book later. So either you're in one line or the other line, and then one of the motions is, you go down the line and then you cross over and go around. And so basically it's becoming a circuit where they have to go one way. And so then if the top couple moves down, then it changes who you follow. It changes where you look. It feels sort of tricky. It is not inaccessible for 3rd grade. It is absolutely accessible, but it just feels a little tricky. But the cool thing is it connects with the grumpy feeling. It connects with this idea of grumpiness or whatever. And it's a super fun dance. So super accessible for them to do, easy for them to do, but it carries that grumpy theme. So it's a great start. Let's see. Okay, Corey on Facebook is saying, do you know where to get the books? Yes, I have linked them on the links page. You can't get them on Amazon. They don't really sell on Amazon. You should get them from a local music store or a national chain that is specific for music ed. So West Music, Music is Elementary, Sweet Pipes, all of the stores that cater to elementary music, they're going to have it, and you should get it there. Sometimes you can buy it on Facebook on those music teacher buy sell trade websites. Sometimes you can find them. They do come with CDs. You should get the CD. The CD is also worthwhile because sometimes it's a sort of a just general jig, reel, whatever that you would use with a dance, but sometimes it's specific, so it's worth getting the CDs. Great question, Corey. Yeah, not on Amazon. Can't get on Amazon. Buy it from West Music. Buy it from MIE. Buy it from Sweet Pipes. Buy it from Groth Music. Whoever your preferred music seller choice is, buy it from them. Cool. All right, so there's that book. This is the book that you should use and get. What's the publishing year? I have it linked on my links page, but it was published in, I don't know. Doesn't say in the back. Published in 2020. So there may be some in used bookstores, maybe, but it is pretty new. Like I said, don't know why limited stock, but they're $1.70 on Amazon. Don't know why. Also, Sashay the Donut or anything else by the New England Dancing Masters. They are all gray books with a picture of kids dancing on the front. And they're like 5 different books. They're all very accessible. Totally worth checking out and getting if you're able. Okay, that's the book that you should use. Here's the book that you should lose. And this makes me very, sad and not sad. Okay, I'll explain. So the book that you should get rid of is this book, Do Your Ears Hang Low? Why? Well, the reason you should get rid of it is because the song itself is like super, super problematic. We'll talk about that in a second. The reason I'm not sad about getting rid of the song. Bye, it's out. For reasons that we'll talk about in a second. Why am I sad to get rid of this specific book? Because I have a Basset Hound, and this book is like super Basset Hound forward. But I am absolutely willing to toss. There are so many great Basset Hound books. So anyway, but whether you have this book or just use that song Do Your Ears Hang Low with students, you should not anymore. Here's why. So the original Do Your Ears Hang Low, the one that like many of us have sung or used in camps or where, scouting or in classrooms, it is a sanitized version. The original version with those lyrics is Do Your Male Anatomy Parts Hang Low. Those are the original lyrics, at least as far as scholars can tell. And so that's probably not something that I want to use with kids. Because I don't want to have kids be singing Do Your Anatomical Parts Hang Low. No, I don't want kids to do. So, but that's where the song originally comes from. Do Your Ears Hang Low is a sanitized version that has been sort of changed over the years. Even worse, though, is that Do Your Ears Hang Low is based on Turkey in the Straw. And Turkey in the Straw has terrible, horrible, racist origins. I have linked some of the research on the links page in case you're interested. But either way, whether you're like, okay, the Do Your Ears Hang Low part, okay, what's about sex organs? Gross. Or then the original melody and the original tune is based on this very, very racist song. Either way, probably you're going to want to toss the song either way, because I don't think that like there's anything in this song or how the song is used, or especially even this book, even though it features a Basset Hound on the cover, and even though this specific book, you're like, oh, but they don't know the history of it. And this book, it talks about, oh, you are beautiful, oh, how sweet. No, it's not worth saving this book or this song. There's too much bad history connected to it. As Taylor would say, bad blood. I don't know. I don't know Taylor Swift all that well. I'm sorry. But so I'm assuming that's what the song is about, bad things. Anyway, just take it out. It's not worth it. If you want to read through the research, I've linked it on the links page. And you can see exactly why this song is terrible and some of the history and things connected to that. So that's the book that I would lose, and the song that goes with it. Not just this book, but I would no longer teach that song. In fact, I haven't taught that song for many, many years. Okay, and then where do you get books? Because children's books can be hard to find sometimes, to find the real gems. There are a lot of children's books. They are oddly expensive for what you're getting, right? So you want to have the best bang for your buck. Where do you get really great books? Well, a couple thoughts. First, to get ideas. I have a whole set of like Amazon. They're called like wish list, idea lists, or whatever. And it's basically all the books I have ever found that I think are worthwhile looking at. And I've organized them. There's a whole list of books based on songs. There's a whole list for like general use in the music classroom. There's a whole book list with books for Black History Month, or books for Women's History Month, or books featuring musician profiles, or books that are blah 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 movement based. All of them all on ideas lists. You don't have to buy from Amazon. In fact, I would encourage you probably not to buy on Amazon. But all those idea lists are there. And the thing I like about Amazon is that if you go to a book listing, like if you go to the page that talks about that book, it has the book author, the ISBN, the publishing company, all the relevant facts. So if you find a book there that you really like, you can then go to your local library's website and you can use all that information to find the book. If you want, you can take all that information from Amazon and go to a discount book website, or Powell's Books or Half Price Books or wherever, if you want to go to in-person store and find that book. But you can take that listing on Amazon and you can save it to your your own personal wish list. You can send it to a PTA board member, whatever, if they want to buy you books. And so that's one of the things I like. So on Amazon, I have these ideas lists, and you can go through and see all the things that I've already found, and it's sort of like a Pinterest for books that you can go through and find the ones you want and then go find them yourself. What I like to do is when I find lists or I find books on Amazon or other bookseller websites, I get on my app on my phone and like put books on hold at the library, the local library, and then later I'll just go pick them up from the library. I read through, I decide, do I really want to pursue this book, or do I really want to try and find it at a discount book website? Instead of going and buying things right away, I check out books from the library and try them out. And the cool thing is, like, you can put books on hold. So if there's a book that's like in your library system that your local library doesn't necessarily have, they will transfer children's books for you too. It's not just adult books or novels or whatever, or reference books. They'll do kids books, whatever. So I've gotten a ton of books to look at, to preview before I go and buy. And then where do you get books for cheap? Well, I recently, in the last like 2-3 weeks, did a blog post all about buying discount books. I list like 5 of my favorite discount book websites. I talk about how to search for books, all sorts of things. That blog post is live on my blog right now. I'm not going to go through all of it because you can go read it at your leisure. I've linked that on the links page as well. But just know that, like, if you're like, ooh, that book, the one I just showed you, The Grumpy Fairies, wow, that's so cool. Get it from your local library. Look for it on those discount book websites. You don't have to buy it full price if you don't want. You can get less expensive copies. It's not inconceivable. You can totally, absolutely do that. Okay, so today, book to use, The Grumpy Fairies. And you can use it with The Grumpy March from the New England Dancing Masters. Super fun song, super fun connection. I think your kids will love it. And it's just a fun one to start the year with. Great for setting the tone, great for encouraging kids along the way. A book to lose, to take out of your library, Do Your Ears Hang Low. And whether you have this book or not, if you know the song, use the song. Don't use it anymore. It's not worth it. You should take it out of your library. And then also I talked a little bit about ways to find books, how to find them, but then also how to buy them too. If you have questions, thoughts, ideas, please leave them in the comments. If you want, you can email me, makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. I'm going to have more ideas next week. I'm going to try this like use it, lose it thing just because like it's fun. And you can see some of my lesson ideas and also some things that you might want to change or why you would want to do that. That's going to be sort of my focus this fall. It's, fun. But if you're like, I just want pure lessons, great. Guess what? I've been doing these videos now. This is like my 5th year. So there are 150 videos that have come before. You can find all those videos archived on my blog and also on YouTube. They're on Facebook. I put links to them on my blog under the video tab. You can find years and years and years and years worth of lessons that I've shared over the last couple years. So I hope this gave you some ideas today for something you can run with in the next couple weeks. But I'll be back next Monday with more ideas and more things that you can share in your classroom. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for coming along, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.